Nathan Broadhead is a Wrexham player, and this signing takes Wrexham's spending this summer to around the £20 million mark. In this video, we're going to take a look at Broadhead as a player, how he might fit into this Wrexham team, and we'll take a look at any red flags that might crop up later down the line. When I think of Nathan Broadhead as a footballer, the top line for me, based on watching him play, for Ipswich, but also Wigan and Sunderland and even Burton when he was younger, the thing that stands out to me is that Broadhead is one of the best finishers that I can remember covering across the EFL. He's an interesting player in the modern game in that he's not a big, strong, fast number 9, and he's not a pacey 1v1 specialist who plays out wide. Those are two of the major attacking profiles across the Championship. He likes to play tucked in behind, tucked in off the left-hand side, picking up pockets of space, using his intelligence, his unselfishness to combine with teammates, and crucially, getting himself into good goal-scoring positions and finishing brilliantly. He's mostly right-footed and will score most of his goals from the left-hand side of the box with his right foot, but he can score with his left foot as well. He favours hard, low shots that goalkeepers find very, very difficult to save, and the fact that he has outperformed his expected goals number consistently throughout his career backs up that he is a consistent goal scorer with excellent technique, and therefore will add plenty to this Wrexham side in attack this season. What about his fit in the current Wrexham side? Well, on opening day at Southampton, it was a 3-5-2 with a fairly flat midfield trio of James, Dobson and Lewis O'Brien, with Windass and Kieffer Moore dovetailing very nicely up front. Kieffer Moore's injury creates a bit of an issue in the target man number 9 role that Phil Parkinson is very, very fond of, and Nathan Broadhead is not likely to fill that role and play up front in a 2 with Josh Windass. That would pretty much remove the option for Wrexham to go long and direct into their striker, which is one of the key ways that they initiate attacks, because Broadhead and Windass are unlikely to make that stick. So I still think it's more likely that Sam Smith comes in to fill the Kieffer Moore hole. So where does Broadhead fit? Well, I can't see any way where Broadhead or Windass are rotated and are challenging for the same minutes in the number 10 role, in the supporting striker role. I think we are going to see Parkinson make what looks like, on paper, an attacking move, and move from 3 central midfielders, 1 number 10 and a striker, to 2 central midfielders, 2 number 10s behind a number 9. Particularly in home games, I think we will see this initially. And Windass and Broadhead as a 2 number 10s behind the striker, I absolutely love that on paper. You've got Broadhead, who does his best work operating in the left half of the pitch, where he can combine with Cae, the left wing back, or McLean when he plays, out wide in build up, and then make sure that he gets central and makes late runs into the box to get into those goal scoring positions from where he's so deadly. And Windass is more than happy playing on the right half of the pitch as well, which is mostly where he did his damage for Sheffield Wednesday last season. So I think in that sense, they could complement each other really, really well here. In terms of defensively, how much will Wrexham lose if they take out a central midfielder for a more attacking player? Well, in terms of getting on second balls and making sure this team is really tenacious in the counter press, I think having Broadhead and Windass supporting a striker wouldn't be the worst thing for when long balls forward have been played and when possession is changing hands quickly. Of course, it's when they'll be defending their own box and defending in their own defensive third, where they will likely be lacking a body in deeper areas. That's the case with any formation change, any tactical change. It is always designed to get a benefit, but you're always likely to lose out on something elsewhere in your tactical system. The good news is that Lewis O'Brien, absolute Duracell bunny, is perfectly capable of playing in a midfield too. I don't think you need a flat midfield 3 if you've got O'Brien, because he can do the work of 2 players essentially. So I'd be looking at O'Brien +1 in the centre of the park, and I guess it'd be between Matty James, George Dobson, Ollie Rathbone when he comes back from injury, George Thomason as well. They're not light in those areas, but it suddenly seems like there might be one less slot to fill and fight for. And it does mean that at the top of the pitch, they are going to be very, very strong, particularly if and when Kieffer Moore is back fit and available. Between Moore, Smith and Hardy, you have fantastic frontline strikers, and then Windass and Broadhead very, very strong as the number 10s behind, and that's not including players like Elliot Lee, who can still contribute in snatches when needed. Now to some potential issues with this signing, and all big money transfers have to come with some potential issues. There's no such thing as a sure thing at this price. And with Broadhead, you just have to admit that at 27 years old, you would have wanted and expected someone like him to have played more football and been available for a larger proportion of the time that he's been a senior professional player. Part of the reason for him not having played many minutes compared to others of his age is because he stayed at Everton for far too long. They gave him a second long professional contract where it probably was never realistic that he would break into their team, and that meant that for a few years there, all they could do really is send him out on loan, where it's hard to get settled, where it's hard to gain consistency. And by the time he left Everton, he made a fantastic choice to move to Ipswich and has been on an incredible journey with Ipswich Town. But we have to also mention that muscle injuries haven't been kind to Broadhead. Hamstrings in particular have caused him problems, and that means that the most minutes he has played in a season in his career is 2,400. Now that is about 26 games worth of minutes, just over half a season of minutes. And when you pay £7.5 million rising to 10 for an attacking player, what do you really need from them? Availability, first and foremost. You want them on the pitch so that you can benefit from the skills that you've paid so much money for. And there has to be a concern that Broadhead needs to be managed so carefully to make sure that he doesn't pick up any injuries that keep him out for an extended length of time. There's also the fact that even if I've got the vision for how things might look tactically, Wrexham's tactical setup is very different to the ones that he played and thrived within at Ipswich Town under Kieran McKenna, and when he played for Sunderland as well. Those were two very dominant teams at the levels they played at. Broadhead was able to get a lot of touches, particularly in very dangerous areas, and had a lot of attacking players to combine with. At Wrexham in the Championship, we're still waiting to see exactly how potent an attacking force they're going to be. And if they don't spend as much time in the attacking third, Broadhead's touches will be reduced. He will have fewer opportunities to score goals and create goals. And then there's the fact that they are massively overpaying. There's just no real debate about that. Wrexham may be able to afford this because their revenues are going to be eye-watering. And they might say that it doesn't matter that they are overpaying. But it's also true that they definitely are. He is in the last year of his contract. He's a 27-year-old attacking player. These guys, with his background, are not going for £7.5 million rising to £10 million. Now, if Wrexham's financial capabilities allow them to pay more for players than their peers at Championship level without it impacting them in the long run, you have to say, why not? If you've got muscles to flex, then flex them. Of course, with financial reporting so delayed, we'll never have a clear idea of what Wrexham's current situation is in the public sphere. So it's true that anyone who tells you that they know exactly what Wrexham's financial situation is doesn't know the full picture, actually. And I do worry from a neutral's point of view what might happen if promotion to the Premier League isn't achieved in a season or 2 seasons or 3 seasons, because it's not just about the money that you have, but of course it is also about the financial rules that are imposed by the Championship. And it's not just a case of being able to spend whatever money you want to spend. You have to be doing it in a way that the EFL consider sustainable. And that's the sort of thing that you can't do if you are constantly spending £20 million on players every summer without bringing any money in from player sales, which is where a lot of clubs make up the deficit. Wrexham at the moment aren't in a position where they are interested in selling any of their players. And frankly, they have bought most of them at a price and put them on wages that make them quite difficult for any clubs to buy, even if they want to. So at some point, the recruitment strategy may need to change. At this point, it's clear that the club have decided it doesn't need to be anything other than Wrexham coming up to the Championship and immediately flexing their muscles, splashing the cash, and trying to get to the Premier League as quickly as possible. And it must be unbelievably exciting for Wrexham fans. I want to hear from you in the comments below. Is Broadhead the signing that you're most excited about this season? If not, who is? And is there any more business that we should be expecting? I'm fascinated to find out. Lastly, set aside the money, set aside anything else. Broadhead is a guy from North Wales, a Welsh international, playing for Wrexham now. And I love stories like that. I think that whether a club has a global outreach or an incredibly local outreach, these clubs are at the very core local football clubs that connect with their local community first and foremost. And having players who have been born and raised and grown up and have an affinity to the area in which they are currently playing does make a difference. And there's been a clear desire to retain some Welsh national identity, even in an era where Wrexham are trying to go supernova to the Premier League with the signings of Broadhead and Moore and Danny Ward as well. It's great to see Wrexham make sure that they are trying to keep some of that Welsh national identity. We love that. DragonSports.co.uk loves that as well, because it's the best place to go for all Welsh sports news with no ads as well. Make sure you subscribe to this channel for more coverage of Wrexham, Swansea, Cardiff and Newport County, and hit the subscribe button too.